Okay, so this is just a brief tour of the brake assembly tables. This is a decent example of some of the things that are good. Using the black oxide, using the Nylamite to push down on the clips and brake pipes. Something that we want to get away from is the use of these sensors. We want to use these sensors. And it's not quite clear why we're using this sensor when we could just as easily use this sensor everywhere. So one of the directions is going to be that we go to this style sensor, and then the question becomes, do we put this sensor on the side so it doesn't get dirty, or do we put it there? These blocks would rather be out of steel where we put the nuts. That way it's easier to create a mechanical poke yoke for the smaller head to make sure a bigger head doesn't go in. One of the things that we didn't do well was, OSEM came at the same time that Armando came, so OSEM was developing lengths and building parts. We were using parts that weren't necessarily accurate to try to validate the tables. So OSEM's developed all the developed lengths, and hopefully all the parts are going to fit the gauges now, single line gauges, so we can do a better job of validating the assembly tables. I think one of the questions that we have here is we didn't really use the concept very well of slot this way, slot that way, and then when we're good to go, dowel. So that's one of the things we're going to have to do when we come back and revalidate. You see here we use black oxide and then steel. Fine. Moving on. This is a good example of pipes that didn't get the right GL developed until after Armando left, so fine. Here you can see we got to get rid of these sensors again, and they're sticking right out. I mean, look at this, crazy. Two different ones. I know this was supplied by Slovakia because it didn't even have one. But again, put them right under, get rid of all these cables. Here's a good example of what we do want. But here, as you can see, it doesn't fit, so that's a problem. But in this particular case, what we'd like to do is poke yoke it so you can't put the fat nut in here. Just machine up some new nuts. It shouldn't be too big a deal. Here we got a label sensor. We really don't have like the right way to put on the label. We need a better guide. I think Slovakia signed up to do that, but maybe Saltillo should do it. Come up with something standard, and then how we mount it, height, and this way. But in either case, this is the only label sensor we have. Here we got a pinch point in here. You can hurt yourself on this because I got to put the part in there. You can see that's a problem. I actually got to put a clip in, is it this table? No. Yeah, I got to put a clip in here, even when I run the part that goes into here. So we got to change the program of this particular table. Because we'd like a selector, A, B, or D, right? Some of the things, again, you got these sensors, so I don't want to repeat too much. Well, I do, but I don't. Here, it seems to be the only one where I have a steel clamp instead of a Nylamite clamp. It's got to be changed out. I couldn't bend some of these tubes here in Saltillo or in Slovakia because I didn't have the bend tooling for this. So we took a tube that was made in Mexico, and it doesn't sit properly in the gauge, and I don't know whether in the assembly fixture. I don't know whether that's because it's not bent perfectly. We checked it on the gauge. It's not a perfect part. So anyway, OSEM's ordering, getting that tooling built up for the Silph axis so we can do this. This is the only table that's got a nut sensor. Not sure why here we got a nut sensor and nowhere else, but I just say remove it. Anyway, it gives you an idea of what's going on here. Plus, I have no clue why we went so far back with this thing. Doesn't make sense. Maybe they built it the other way and then realized they built it. I don't know. But this whole table's got to move forward, because it's going to be interfering with, you know, the process board. Here, you know, I mean, we're starting to see the same things over and over, right? This concept, you know, pinch points. Keep moving. Here, not really much to be said here, other than the same concepts, you know, pinch points and so forth. Here, you can see that this table's too high, so too high. What we're thinking of doing is cutting that, moving the panel out and up, have it go this whole table on an angle down. But either way, look at the placement of these sensors. I mean, they're just right in the way of anyone trying to put the clips in. So this has got to be fixed. So what we did, walking around the bender here, is we put together a matrix which we're going to send out before the meeting. And basically the concept is, you know, do I have a sensor for clip presence for each part number? Is the sensor the correct sensor, the one we want? And in many cases the answer is no, because I already explained what we want. And then do we have a label sensor? And so, you know, again, in virtually all situations the answer is no. Mechanical poke yoke for the clip, so in some cases we have and some we don't. It's got to get put into all. Poke yoke for the nut. That's something we can machine and do later. We don't have to do it for the buy-off. It would be nice if we could do it, but we just got to figure out what time allows. We have some parts that don't have a program present. I think we got 3 part numbers here, D, A, and C. It's all part of the same table. And then we have others that require modifications. That was the one I was explaining, where we have that clip that needs to be put in place for the table to run, even though the table doesn't need that clip for that part. We got to put in a brake line sequence, you know, what goes in first, second, third. Tube nut physical sample, so we're just going to put a physical sample of the nut on the nest so people can see what's supposed to be. And a guide for the label position and orientation. You can see that we don't really have anything. Slovakia has signed up to do it, but like I said, maybe it would be better if Mexico were to come up with something as a standard, and then we, you know, adapt the heights and position here. We need label dispensers and clip boxes. That's something Slovakia will take care of. We have a concept for fixture for ergonomics and then fixture for geometric accuracy. So we've made some comments there. Cables, you know, how they're properly plumbed. So, you know, we got to plumb them properly. And then, you know, once everything else is done, then we got to dowel. And then, you know, this last part regarding documentation, the only thing that Saltillo has to worry about is getting the designs of the tables out to Slovakia. So anyway, this is what I did with the team yesterday. And what I need is Saltillo to come back in a couple weeks with the right team in order to address these issues, because we got buy-off in late August, PPAP. So this all has to be fixed. Okay.